Welcome back to our Hyphen with Sherelle and Sade.
What exactly does our hyphen represent, you may ask?
The hyphen is the punctuation that is used to separate your date of birth and your date of transition from this life to the next. It's reflective of your journey.
Our hyphen is inclusive of good times, challenging times, moments of reflection, moments of realization, laughter, tears, all of the things that we experience as we journey through life.
These are the conversations we started in 2020 on the living room sofa that led to some of the most transformational experiences of our lives.
This is a judgment-free zone.
Because every day we are growing and evolving.
Your life,
your hyphen. Welcome back to our hyphen with Sherelle and Sade. First, we want to say thank you to all of our supporters and subscribers. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. We also want to let you know if you have not heard or if you have not seen, we have merchandise for sale now.
Merch for sale.
Yes, so please go out to our social media platform, Facebook or Instagram. Click the link in our bio to support us. You know, grab that hoodie. Jack Frost is nipping at your nose.
Yes.
And look, they better go on and get a bag and throw it in the bag
everything.
and make it an overnight bag. When you look at the bag,
Who was it that said the thing? Don't you? Thank you, babe. Thank you.
I remember it. Through that thank you bag, won't even tie it together.
You gotta tell that story.
I will one day. But get that I hyphen with Sherelle and Sade bag, make it that overnight bag. So when you out there, you remember, live your hyphen. Look at the bag.
Look, God didn't give me a bag till I put the bags away. I don't need to spend a night bag no more than that. We got to spend a night bag. My Lord.
My goodness, won't he do it? But Sherelle, boo, how are you? How are you feeling?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on our viral since it went, our short since it went viral?
I think that's a good place for us to start. I made a comment on my personal Instagram. I think it was before everything happened with our video. And I was like, at some point in life, you're going to be tested on the things that you say you stand on. And I talked about how, after the video went viral, I came back and talked about how, like, for me, that was an instance where I say I don't care about what people, I was about to say something else, but yeah, I'm really trying to work on my mouth. I don't care, or I don't want to say I don't care. I've gotten to a place where, like, I don't let certain things bother me, because I see it through, like, a spiritual lens. And like I was saying, when people take the time to, like, spew hate, you can only put out what's within. So I'm able to look past that and be like, dang, these people are really hurting. And people are entitled to their opinion for sure. And of course, when you put yourself out there in that way, you meaning like us, you subject yourself to the opinions of others. But it was interesting. And I must say, I was kind of surprised by just who was under our video, like, making the comments. But all in all, like, it was a dope experience, I think.
It was kind of disgusting for me though, because earlier on I had this reality check. And it sounds crazy, but I do live in my bubble. I live in my peaceful, going through a storm, still can smile bubble. And I had to realize that not everyone is in that space.
Right.
And what made me have that reality check is because one day I was exercising and I spoke to a lady and she looked back at me like, you speaking to me? And I'm like, how are you? And I'm like, I don't know if it's because you're not used to people speaking to you. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to speak because you can't call the cops. You can't call 911 and say, oh, she committed a crime. She spoke to me. So it was a reminder for me. I had to have that reality check that everyone is not in that peaceful space. So that's what, it was hurtful too, not being understood.
I was about to say, and I feel like I need to maybe offer you an apology, because I don't know that I took the time to, in passing, I was kind of like, you all right? Like, you good? But I think I allowed how I felt about that moment to override how you may have really felt, because the clip was focused on pretty much something you were saying. So it might be easier for me to be like, oh, I don't care, because it wasn't something that, like, maybe it wasn't a clip of mine where I was being misunderstood, but I did feel like I felt a bit of frustration, like they not understanding like what we were even talking about. But I still didn't hone in on like maybe how that made you feel in terms of like beyond the fact that you were just misunderstood, but like in its entirety. Because I can't expect, because I'm saying I don't care about something. You know what I mean? Like we still are individuals at the end of the day. And so I hope that I didn't place my feelings or project how I don't know if that's the right word in this situation, but I hope I didn't kind of force you to feel a way or feel like you had to be okay with it, because I was just like, man, F these people.
No, now see, I was feeling for you when one of the people on there were talking about, they were talking about weight and then the head hair or something like that. And then
I was hollering.
and I'm just
I was
like,
like, why, how do we get here?
right,
It's one of those things like I can't explain it. Like that's what I mean by like when we start talking about that, like how do we even get here? This has nothing to do like
hurt
child. And
people.
like I said, if you caught me a couple years ago when I was about 260, heavy, like I might have been like, oh man, like I do need to. But at this point in my life, like when I'm confident in how I look, not to say I can't go back to the gym. Like I definitely need to get back in the gym just to maintain it. But that was the stuff that like was rolling off my back, like for real, like.
And for both of us, though, I feel like it rolled off of our back to a degree because we know who we are and whose we are. And because of
Yep.
that, that's what made us grounded
Mm-hmm.
in that moment when all of that was going on. Because I'm like, how did we get from me holding myself accountable
Mm-hmm.
to talking about our weight or talking about our appearance or talking about, oh, that's why we date women from other countries because of what was it, the
That's what.
eyelashes and the
Yeah.
makeup
Right.
and all that. I'm like,
Like
okay,
okay.
what's wrong with that? What's wrong because I want to get diddied up, you
Right.
know? So,
But then, like we talk about too, you can't expect people to acknowledge or recognize something in you that they don't even realize or acknowledge within themselves. So people that don't hold themselves accountable, they don't necessarily know what accountability looks like to then be able to say, "Oh, well, she held herself accountable." Like literally, you started off the clip by saying it's not rejection anymore,
right.
and it was like women can't deal with rejection. Da da da. I was like, rewind, like go back about 10 seconds, and we started off by saying that, but
Hey,
it is what it is.
people entitled to their opinions, but I do want to give a shout out to all of the people that came in on a positive note. They were awesome.
Yeah, for sure. For
So,
sure. And you got to just learn to take the quote unquote good with the bad. And it's just building the muscle in us. Because this is just a start,
this is the beginning. I
like
realized that.
collectively, individually. So if we can't take like some people on Instagram lending their opinion, like we ain't cut out for it. So, and like I was saying on the video again, referring back to the video I put on my Instagram, like again, I mean, I'm gonna use the word blessed because I don't know what other word to use, but just in people that I've met, over the last couple of years, like I've been prepared for this. Like I've been prepared for it. Like
That see, I wasn't. I wasn't prepared because I'm, you know me, I try to be the perfectionist. You know,
to
I
hell with
was
that.
not prepared. However, I'm getting prepared. Like that day I was in the chair getting my hair done and my braided, she was trying to talk to me, I'm not gonna lie, but I was so into it by the time I finished looking at or going over the comments, she was almost finished with my hair.
I had a similar experience because I realized that then we went to get food after you got done with your hair that night, right? I realized I had literally spent the majority of my day like going through one trying to like I was just liking everything. I was like, sure, whatever. Liking everything and then like responding to some of it. Like I realized how easy it is, even like when your intention is not to rebuttal in a negative way, like how easily it is to get absorbed in that. Like something you say you don't care about, which I genuinely didn't, I was not offended by it. But in that moment, like I was still utilizing my time. And shout out to DJ Marky Mark because we had a conversation about that. And he was like, you don't care, so now don't give that your attention. Like the hours that you spent responding to do this with the algorithm, da da da. He was like, you can't get that time back. You spent, I'm gonna say like 6 hours that day on idiots.
It
I was
was.
like,
It
this
was
is
more than
some
that.
real stuff.
Because you think about it, we went to eat while we were
Yep.
eating.
Yep.
Then we compared numbers from the time we left the restaurant
Yep.
until we got home.
Yep.
So it was a 12-hour shift.
And I will say from that perspective, that was a reality check. Again, although I know what my intentions were in responding and like making light of it and like literally laughing about it, again, because I gave it my attention, to some people that does not model not caring. Because people would say, like he said, if you don't care about, like, don't give it your attention. So I'm learning too, like, duality, meaning, yes, like two things can be true. You cannot care about something, so that can also mean that you don't give it your time, or you cannot care about something, so it seems like in giving it your time is not taking anything away from you. But like he said, like that was time I could have been doing something totally different.
And we both had a headache. We
Yeah,
both agreed.
yeah, yeah.
We didn't eat.
Stupidity give me a headache anyway. Let me stop. People are not stupid. Just because we don't think the same does not make them stupid. But if I'm living in my truth in this moment, I feel like it was
Yeah,
people.
because we went from holding myself accountable to talking about weight to talking about hair to
Talking
talking
about what we couldn't afford, and
right.
I'm like, my God. The man that put the Meek Mill quote took me out. He was
He
like,
said,
something about, no, you can't drive my 200 something $1,000 car. Like Meek Mill said, and then he quoted something. I was like, congratulations. Like, we know you know a Meek Mill line. It's all good.
right.
But we doing it again. We spending time talking about this. Like, we giving him too much time right now. Let's talk about something else.
All right.
No, you feel like we can move on from it?
I'm
'Cause we about
good.
to make a whole nother episode talking about them.
No, we not.
But no, that was a good check-in, because that was definitely something that was new for us. But I think we handled it well. So
We did. We did among each other. We talked. We and you know,
I'm gonna find humor in anything anyway. Like, it can be something that to a lot of people's like, dang, they laughing about that. Like, we tend to.
I
That
am.
might be a.
I'm too blessed to be stressed, no matter what I'm going through. I'm learning that being emotionally happy, or even, I'm sorry, being emotionally healthy is what I'm striving to be. Because, you know, I was listening to Darius Daniels, and he was talking about, yeah, PD. He was talking about is two types of surprise seasons. And one is the surprise season is you prefer that season. That's something that brings you joy. That means basically um, everything is going your way.
Okay.
That's your preferred season.
Okay.
But when it's not preferred, when God takes things off course, that's when it brings about anxiety. It brings about frustration, agitation, and all of that. So in the midst of all of that, you have to learn to be emotionally healthy, because if you're not, you'll wreck your words will wreck you. So I'm in that surprise season right now.
Where you feel like things are going your way.
They're not going my way, but I still feel I am emotionally healthy enough to respond in a healthy way. For example,
Okay.
why you said
No, I'm
why?
trying to figure out where I'm at, because I feel like I don't know where I'm at, because I feel like I look at everything again, like everything that happens. I have spiritual eyes. I don't mean religious eyes. I mean spiritual eyes, in terms of like I can take it and look at other seasons in my life where maybe things look like they weren't going my way, and it always works out. So now
Right.
I'm just like, cool, it's gonna be all right.
Well, one of my surprise seasons is dealing with my project that I have going on right now. And it is a shock. You know, with some of the news that I've gotten, it's a shock. But at the same time, I know that everything works for my good. Everything comes together for my good. Um, what's another one? Oh, I would say going back to, how can I put this? I'm going to say this quote because this is a quote that I've referenced to. Remember when you said that you were convicted when you went to church with me in your conversation? And I will say, I'm going to thank you. And even going back to the hashtag, and we can elaborate on the hashtag more on my usage of it. But I realized that us as women, if we don't straighten each other's crowns,
Yep.
then men are not going to respect the crown.
That's true.
If we don't straighten each other's crowns, then men aren't going to respect our crown. And don't get me wrong, I respect, you know, you coming to me and saying that, but at the same time, I didn't agree with it because I feel I knew my intentions. And then once we had that conversation, then I felt like you will understand where I was coming from. And then, like you said, you admit, you know, that was a you problem. So,
when I say it's a me problem, I mean it in terms of like I can't expect the way that I go about things just because it's the way that I go about things and like how I place boundaries. I can't then expect everybody to operate in that way. And like you said, talk when you talk about intention, just because I don't receive someone's intention in the way that they meant for me to does not mean that they have ill intentions. I'm learning, like when we say we can only control ourselves and what we do, I'm learning how not to expect, and I'm not saying this in a way that's like I can't expect. I'm learning I can't expect the me out of everybody that I interact with because we all just see things differently, and so sometimes I tend to um, I think I need to work on extending more grace in that area because I like how I am about like things like loyalty, and so anything that looks like it's off centered a bit in that, like I automatically retreat and go into like it's almost like a what am I trying to say? Like I start to like further assess the situation, and that's why like I had to say something to you about it because again it's not fair for me based on my experiences to then expect people to operate in a certain way when they might not have had the same experiences to look at things a certain way.
Right.
And like you were talking about, we talked about before, and if I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but like even in terms of having a lot of friends, that's something that like I mean I was like that in school, so I didn't deal with a lot of females, but I will say in my friendships that I do have, the key like feed you. I mean now you and how our we cousins, so it feels so weird to say we friends, but the women that I do allow like in my circle and I learn and I grow from, I think we do a good job of calling one another out on certain things, and it don't always feel good. And we also learn how, like in that situation, because we don't necessarily agree or we have to agree to disagree, those are the situations that also help us to strengthen our sisterhood. Because then you understand, okay, well when she do this, that don't necessarily mean this because she sees it in this way. So as a friend, and as a woman, as a friend, as a cousin, whatever, I felt like I had to say something even if we still agree to disagree on that. And that's still something we don't have to go into it because we haven't even really like went into
Right.
conversation about it amongst ourselves first, but that is still something that for me I wouldn't do. But because you choose to do that doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong. We just see it two different ways.
Right. And like I said, I didn't agree with it, but I respect that boundary.
Okay, how can I explain this? What does respecting somebody's boundaries look like if you don't agree? Not necessarily in that situation, but like how do we respect someone's boundaries when we don't disagree with what they're saying?
For me, it's correcting it and then not doing it again.
Okay. As it pertains to that person.
Where for me, if it would be anyone
Okay.
that's,
Got you.
for example, that would be in in that circle, I wouldn't. But we still have to have that. I feel that conversation because I feel you will understand where I was coming from.
I'm a little bit surprised that you don't think that way because of some of the stuff you've experienced. And go ahead.
And the reason being is because I did a reset. Because if I was to take my past with me, I'm never gonna heal from it. And how can I say this? If I'm not gonna take my past with me, I'm giving everyone that clear slate. And I know me now. Finding me, every move that I make is intentional. The moves that I make is intentional. Like I did it because I appreciate your support because you didn't have, they didn't have to do what they did. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
You get what with the sharing, right? And then also, it's not like that they were a stranger, quote unquote, to me. I mean,
I guess we define that differently too.
right. So,
Dang, I wish we could. Because, like, okay, we can't go there because then I would be saying too much. And then, but you just said that you don't take, what did you say? You don't take your past, what did you say? You don't.
you said, but surprising by what I didn't see it differently. I'm trying to leave the past in the past.
As it pertains to those situations, like those situations. Because in order to grow, we do take lessons or things that we experience in our past and apply new lessons. Like we develop new habits, new ways of thinking, new ways of maneuvering based on our past.
Or should I say, depending on who it is. Like for me, you should know it's no ill will. You know, as close as we are, I feel you should know it's no ill will.
Understanding that I before have been in a situation where I've assumed that with somebody and things went differently.
Okay,
So
now I
now
understand.
but you've been in those situations too.
But I wouldn't dare think that if the shoes were on the other foot, I wouldn't dare think that of you.
But that makes sense also because of some of the things we tend to think differently in terms of, and this is not good or bad. It's actually something that sometimes I'm like, dang, that's so like it's good that you are this way. Like we are different in terms of when we feel slighted by somebody. Like I'm gonna make sure I'm not gonna be rude or nasty, but I make it clear that like we have a boundary. You know what I mean? Whereas you're more so like loving and I'm going to be the bigger person and I'm going to show you that I'm going to be the bigger person in terms of like continuous engagement. And that's where we're different. So, from that perspective, that makes sense. And I do think overall, in terms of boundary setting in like those areas, we differ a lot. We differ a lot. But to me, setting boundaries in those situations also helps me create like, it's like a healthy, it's healthy. I think it's healthy because I have allowed those lines to blur previously um out of like not understanding how not setting boundaries created opportunities for certain stuff to happen.
This is gonna be to be continued.
Okay, that's fair.
No, because I want to say something, but I don't want to. It might be too much to put on the table right now.
I don't.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then.
Okay,
All right, cool. Let me ask you this.
should we start with the how do we I don't want to I don't mind talking about, but then I don't want to say it and we get into it and like it creates a space where we can't have a dialogue free of like we can't really talk it out without it looking like messy on camera. Not messy on camera, but you know what I mean? Like I want to honor our friendship
All right.
and talk about it. I mean, I don't care, but I'm just saying. I don't know how it would unfold in that way.
So, all right. I mean, we can cut this out,
Okay.
maybe. But, okay, I just looked at it from the perspective of we've always said that we want, when we get in a relationship, that we want our significant others, our spouses, to be free. So, if I'm sitting in the room with your significant other, are you automatically going to think something?
No. But you made a valid point right there. That is somebody at that point you have had more interactions with. That was somebody that you knew you had interactions with off of the strength of like what our relationship, our situation was. You know what I mean? So think about, oh, how can I describe this person to you without think about your weakness.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody. They got social media. After that, I didn't think nothing about. Like I still feel like that wasn't you allowed me in that space, but that was still like y'all. Like I didn't feel connected to that situation enough to say, oh, like I've hung out with them. Like let me. That's you.
Yeah, we
I'm
do.
cordial. Like, of course, when we come around, we could chop it up, but that's still a boundary that I set because I need that person to know at any time, like, that's who I'm riding with. And not that, like, that situation is so far that it don't matter in that way, but I just think it's important to have boundaries in certain situations. And that's something your aunt, well, she, my aunt too, still, but she says it in such a way, like, even when we do get in relationships and our partners or friends, they're still like I think there's still it's important that you still have boundaries. Like I still wouldn't come to your house if you weren't there. Now if me and my person had to come to your house and do something, that's different. But that's a me thing. Like I wouldn't come, if your husband or whatever were at your house, you weren't there. Or if like I had to go by your house to get something, he was there, like we would be on the phone. And it is not a thing where like I don't trust that you would trust me there or I don't trust myself there. It's just like out of respect for you as a woman, like I'm not gonna be in your house and you're not there with your person. That's just. And I think too, it's important to me how I present myself as it pertains to like those situations, because in any situation, it's important to me that whoever I'm like in connection with, like we all appear as a united front. Because when you like you let little stuff slide and people pick up on stuff, it's like, oh, that's messy. Like they let that happen. Okay. I do care about what people say as it pertains to stuff like that, because I need people to know at all time, like, don't play with me like I'm this big bad, but like let's be clear about what boundaries look like. Like the situation I was in, the guy I was talking to, and when I start explaining the situation, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking to. We were talking, and he was like, "Watch," because I don't talk to people around our way. Like that was one of my things. I was like, eh. He was like, "Watch, people will start asking you about me," and what I told him, I was like, "No, they won't."
Right.
I said they gonna ask you, but they won't ask me. He was like, we laughed about it. And I was like, watch. Sure enough, I saw so and so at the store, and they hinted to the fact that we was talking. I was like, okay. And as we continued to talk, I was like, point proven. Like I feel like I set my life up in a way that people can ask other people that may be connected to me stuff, but I just set my life up in a way that I don't think people feel like they can be intrusive in that way. Like I'm transparent about the stuff that I want people to know about and that I feel like is important for me to share. But I think even in that, I have like my boundaries are like I'm very clear about, hey, these are my girls. Like I can be cordial with anybody, but when it comes to like my like people know who my girls are, and that, I mean, that's just something that's important to me. What's the word? Pretty much, what's the phrase that says like, breeds contentment? Familiar. I can't say the word.
Familiarity.
Familiarity
Familiarity.
breeds contentment. So I think when people get comfortable, they also tend to get messy. So it's in like all facets of my life, it's pretty important that I have pretty strong boundaries, and that's just to protect everybody.
And see, yeah, I differ when it comes to that, because it's like my person, I don't mind you, or for example, my other friend, I don't mind y'all around them.
I think you should think about some of the stuff that's happened. I think those situations are a reflection of the fact that, and I'm saying this as lovingly, and is that a word, lovingly? Loving?
That's a word.
Lovingly? That don't
Loving.
sound right.
Lovely, right? Lovely.
That's lovely, like describing how somebody
Lovingly.
lovingly. You know what I'm trying to say. But that's why I think you need to set stronger boundaries in those areas. And again, I might be totally off. You might see it totally different, but that's one of those things I'll always like drive home with you. It's okay to be loving and caring, and oh my God, everybody's a big happy group of people, big happy family, but it comes a point where it's like, nah, we not about to play about this.
Yeah. Well, for me, unless you're in my inner circle, you're not going to be around me much anyway.
Yes, I agree.
And I do trust my inner circle 100%. And I feel like, just like if you can't trust me around your person, you can't trust me with your finances, you can't trust me with your kids, you can't trust me.
I think it's different levels to trust. Like, you know what I mean? Like when it comes to an intimate partner, I definitely believe that, I mean, even as close as we are, as close as I am to my other friends, there are certain things that my partner, my husband, will be privy to that it's just not that it's a issue with y'all knowing or something like that. We'll just have experiences that shed light on deeper areas or more intimate areas of like who we are who me and my husband are individually. I think it's definitely levels to like intimacy and
I agree.
exposure in that way.
I agree, but where I guess where we see different, like my inner circle. I don't care if you sitting in the room with my significant other and I'm not in there, or
Yeah, that's different.
I'm trying to, for example, with my job, I might have to get up and go, and something is going on at the house. I don't mind my inner circle being there if I have to leave.
It's
And
a group of us.
for example, let's say we're having game night, and I have to go out because of my job or whatever.
Who there? Give me a scenario, because the scenario can make a difference too. Because if it's And again, we having a like if it's me, you, and my husband, and I have to leave. Come on, Till, we going to the store. I would, and I
Oh, yeah,
wouldn't want you. I wouldn't want you to feel comfortable leaving me there. And again, it's not that I don't trust myself. I just feel like, again, we teach people how to treat us. So when we get sloppy amongst ourselves, we open the door for other people to think it's okay to do certain stuff. So we have to have a mutual respect for our like each other and each other's situation, because that then sets the tone for how other people feel like they can navigate. And again, in certain situations, you do allow more flexibility and more, but that's just not an area. That is an area I think it can get real. I don't want to use the word dangerous, but it can get very messy unnecessarily when boundaries aren't set.
I get what you're saying.
Like, did you see the post on Instagram where it was? I posted on my page where the guy was having I guess he had his guy friends over and the girl was in there and he was like, all right, like my guy's here, like you can go. I mean, their
No, I
dynamic
didn't
was
see it.
different anyway. So pretty much the conversation was in that situation, if your man, his friends, I'm spitting braces. If his friends come over, do you then, you the only female that they haven't bought their partners, it's just like guys' night. Do you sit in there with them or do you like leave?
More than likely, if I don't leave, I'm gonna be in another part of the house.
And again, that's not saying, oh well, because his friends might be looking at me. It's kind of one of those things. Just I respect your time with your boys,
Your time, and I'm gonna have mine.
right?
Right.
And I don't feel like I have a place now. If we all just happen to be, I don't know, if the game is on and he and I plan to watch the game, and then his boys come over, like that's kind of a different thing. But if they have like a scheduled guys' night at the house, like I'm not gonna insert myself in that. That's just setting a boundary.
So if you and him had planned on watching the game
And
together,
they came. I
they
feel like
came.
that's different because now we all. And even in that situation, I'm
I'm about
no.
to say is I mean it's different in terms of the initial setup. Y'all plan to watch the game, but then some friends came over. You would still
That's
stand.
different. Yeah, I would stay. I'm
You
talking
would.
about like if they're gonna watch the game, if they have plans to watch the game. If the Cowboys playing, let's say my man is a Cowboys fan, speaking into existence, and they have plans to watch the game, then that's their time to watch the game. I'll go watch in the other room, or we can go to the bar or something like that. Like I don't necessarily, but if it's like a big game and we all decide to get together and watch it, and
And you're the only
that's different.
female.
That might be different because it's like a planned. You know what I mean?
Well, in order for the boys to come
I
over,
think
it would be.
I would still feel a bit uncomfortable just because I don't like. I mean, you know that about me anyway. I don't like being in a like a bunch of men's faces in that way. I'm very like I don't. That's a me thing.
Well, my example would be, let's say, for example, it's myself, my spouse, and two other couples. You and
Yeah,
let's say Ro, and I have to go out for work, and y'all stay and still stay there for a game night.
that's different because it's you know what I mean. Like it's women. Like we're there with our partners, our spouses.
Okay.
I don't know. And then maybe that's an area in which I need to expand my thinking. I don't even know if I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know if that's something I'm open to, just because I was just seeing too many situations where again, I just feel like it just leaves too much room for miscommunication. Like, I think it leaves room for people to feel a way, but then, dang, I shouldn't feel this way because this is my home. Like, let's just set boundaries and move on with it. You know what I mean? Like, let's all respect each other in that capacity and, like, wait, I was about to make, oh, an example of that. So, I feel like all my stories got to do like a guy I was talking to. Can't find love for the love of Chantrice. Example number 36, 5,000. But now the last guy I was talking to, which is the same guy I was talking about, that's the coach that don't come for me. The same guy. He did a cookout at his house for was that 4th of July? His guy friends came over, his mom, his sister, da da da. So before they got there, I was like outside with him, standing around talking to him or whatever while he was cooking, trying to be supportive, trying to be in the trenches with him. It was hot. But then like when it was time to eat and his friends, like, the women was in the house. So at that point, after everybody had like got their food and he like served us as women, like him and his friends was kind of outside eating. So I was like, holla at you. Like I went back in the house. They were like sitting down doing their thing. Like it just I would have felt weird. And they nice. Like they cool as hell. But I was like, this is them. Like I'm going in the house with his mom and his sister.
Do you think that he would appreciate it if you would have stayed out there and talked?
I don't think he would have cared either way, but I do think because he acknowledged it. Like dang, like I kind of feel. I was like, no, we good. Like,
He
dang.
kind of feel what?
He kind of felt bad because like he was outside with them, and I was like, we good. Like I ain't tripping
So
about
you
it.
weren't stressing about it.
Mm-mm,
Okay.
mm-mm, mm-mm. And that's that is one of those things I have learned to like be more. Because in my 10-year relationship, where we was at, we needed to be together. Cookout, church, don't leave me. And I think maybe that's why now, because I've kind of grown into myself more. Now I'm still the person, like, we going to your family function first. I'm like, don't leave me as soon as we get there. Like, let me make some family friends first. But yeah, like,
Can I
Yeah.
give you both the male perspective from this
yes.
situation? Is that okay?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
So I think it's important, and I'm just following along the conversation here from the man's perspective. I think it's a green flag, right? When the woman that I love does have some sort of a boundary, whether that falls more on your side or whether it falls more on your side. Just the fact that you guys have one, I believe it's the man's job in the relationship to just kind of adhere to what those ladies to our ladies uh, boundaries are.
Okay.
Like wherever on that scale that you fall because of past circumstances, situations, whatever, our job is to make you comfortable, right? So wherever you guys fall on that line, I think it's our job to kind of adhere to that and then just almost like pick up what y'all are putting down. So that's I don't know, like a little insight of how maybe a man could be following this conversation.
So if you had, if you were having boys' night at home, let's say you had a group of, I don't know, 5 guys. Y'all were gonna do guy stuff, whatever that looked like in that moment, and your partner, was there. Like, what would you? I don't want to use the word expect, but like, what would you appreciate in terms of her role in that?
Sure. No, that's a great question. I think, it's probably these boundaries should probably be set and talked about before you get into one of those situations, right? And I really, wherever, if you feel uncomfortable with me, with your friends in the room, or you have to step out, at least I can only speak for me, right? But I don't care where you fall in that line. I just think it's my job, to some degree, anyway. I just think it's our job to kind of know where your guys' boundaries are, and then kind of adhere to that. If I love my girl, if I respect her, and those boundaries are set, it's our job to just kind of pick that up, kind of put out what you're what you're putting down, and kind of roll with you guys that way. That's how I see it, anyway.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And then kind of to piggyback off it, because we have been in situations where like we all met together, so everything we did, we was all together. You know what I mean?
And
So
I
that was
compared it to that
right.
as well. I
Look at
did.
the difference in that. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying as
Yes.
far as the visibility, as far as
Yep.
meeting and things like that. But I guess I can talk the lines off a piece of paper. I'm friendly with anyone.
And that's fine.
So in that instance, I just thought, you know what? I appreciate your support. Click. That's it.
Let me ask you this. We even talk about in terms of how we are mindful, how we interact. Let me use a different example. That might be too personal. So if we went to the White House, and let's say we had White House when Obama and Michelle was there, and you met Miss Michelle, and you met Mr. Barack. That sounds so. I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't know what they like to be called. How would you? I feel like there would automatically be a certain level of, for any of us, like a certain level of, that's Michelle, man. Like, I'm not gonna even try to do nothing that would make her feel like, you know what I mean? I'm all up on, I want to use this other example so bad, but I feel like it
Go
might
ahead.
be, no, because I don't know if they want to.
Yeah. Can you?
What's the
You can
use?
always tell a story without calling the name.
Because I would have to use that to,
The example with the White House, I feel like Miss Michelle would be used to that as far as people being in Mr. Barack's face.
Do you feel like just because you used to something means you like, you know what I mean? Like it should be accepted, or it's, because this is a real big example, but we got women that's used to their man cheating. That don't mean they okay with it. You know what I mean? It's like one of them things like I kind of, until they decide to make a different decision. And I know their situation is a bit different because he's like a public figure in that
Right.
way. But that, I guess my point being, like, I never want to be at, I mean, I've made mistakes in my past. Like, I'm very open about that. I don't want to be the woman that causes another woman to feel like I can't stand when she come around because she, you know what I mean? Like, I just try to be mindful of like other women. I never like want to come off as that. Like, even if it's a guy, like our second guest that's coming on, I feel comfortable with our friendship. One, because we was friends in high school, and two, because like I always reference, like, tell your wife I said hi. I ain't gonna say her name because I don't know if he, but tell her I say hey. Like, we text each other like outside of here, like our relationship. Just because we friends, I don't text him all times of the night. If a thought come to mind that I need to follow up with him about something, I want to check in on him, I'll wait till 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? So like small things like that, even though I don't feel, no, he's good at setting boundaries too, but I don't feel like it would be taken like that. I still make sure that I position myself to never come off as such. So I hope my intention in that way, or my intention is like acknowledged in that way. Like, I set I set the standard in terms of that boundary, because I try to be mindful of, like, he a married man now.
With overall for me, because like you said, we don't take up the whole thing talking about it. But my main thing for me was that I thought that you and I, well, not thought, but I just assumed that we were that close that it wouldn't be.
We are close, but that still don't mean boundaries don't have to be in place.
And
Like
that's
our parents, we close, but we have a good relationship, or with our parents, but it's still certain, like, we are learning how to set back, and that's not being mean. It's just saying,
But that's why I said I appreciated
yeah,
you straightening my crown, because now I know how to proceed forward, not in just
absolutely,
with you, but
yeah,
with others as well. Because for me, let me say this, in my job, I talk to different people, men, all the time, and that's why I guess I am just set in that habit of, oh, it's okay. They know my intentions. My intentions is business, because that's what it was for me. Again, I appreciate the support. You supported us on our podcast. Thank you. Because I do realize now that as I am walking in my journey, every step that I'm taking is intentional.
And you know what's funny? I didn't think about this till just now. Like, that's actually something that he helped instill in me.
What?
That, like, in terms of, like, if like you my girl, but like, we have to create some boundaries in terms of, like, who my best friend is, but like if we were ever in a situation, like, it was still like I still wouldn't play about either one of y'all in that way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was still like, nobody getting, we not crossing, no, like, y'all can be friendly and have a but we still not about to play about that.
Not even with social media.
No, I wouldn't. And maybe again, that's because I mean his background in general, but they live by a different code. But no, I don't.
But no, I do. Please don't
I'm trying to
think.
think of any of my friends.
Please don't think that I was offended, because I've realized that.
I did wrestle with it a little bit, because I know, like, like, I tend to like overthink things and like over.
And and again, I needed that, because again, I want all of my that's teaching me to set those boundaries with not just you, but with other people as well. Like, I have to understand that everyone is not in that peaceful, in that going through a storm mindset, peaceful going through a storm mindset, and that again, I appreciate you straightening my crown, just like y'all. I thought I was doing something with hashtags. Remember?
That's a little mood text. Tiff was under the. That's when I said, "Oh no, enough! We gotta fix this situation immediately." Cause you a representation of me. I'm a represent. I represent you as well. Tiff was under. I mean, Sade was under the post about the class reunion hashtag. Our hype was. I said, What is happening?
Y'all,
You know what the hashtags are for, sis?
let me tell y'all.
So funny. I was gonna let it go. I was like, no, like, this is what friends do.
Right.
Like, my friends have had to pull me on certain stuff. Like, all right, Sharice, like, you tripping, like, and I appreciate that. So I feel like in those situations, like, I owed that to you, because I wouldn't want you to be around other people, and you know what I mean.
Like, I don't
Just say with
mind.
me, like, tell me.
I am not easily offended because I don't mind people pointing out my imperfections because I'm far from
All of us, nobody perfect.
perfect. And and another thing with, I'm gonna give it to my positive support system. We go back to the iron, the word where it says iron sharpens iron.
I just text Marcus today because he was like, y'all got it, like, y'all
Oh,
rest after this. Like, he coming on for real, like, that is
that's probably a 2 hour, 3 hour episode.
yeah.
But no, and I know for my people out there, English is not something, we discussed this briefly. English.
You was in governor school. Stop saying that.
No, I'm being honest.
But still, because okay,
I'm not ashamed to say it. I truly am. Now, like, again, y'all, English is a weakness for me, or was a weakness, because I'm working on. Because, like, for example, I do have a hard time differentiate. Not a hard time. It's a challenge because now I catch myself. I'm more intentional. I think before I say it.
And I think you overthink sometimes too.
I do.
That's why I think you create that in yourself. Like, I have to think about everything I'm saying because you feel like English is your weakness. And when you just talk, like, you fine.
I'm telling you, you take me to science.
Well, I didn't notice it until you started talking about it. So, because now I feel like you have created space where you're overthinking everything that you're saying.
And I do to a degree, because I realize it has been times, did I say it right? It's been times where I felt like I didn't belong, like with my financial advisor and with my small business rep. I felt like I did not belong in that room because they were speaking this high vocabulary. They spoke well, and I was impressed by it. In the beginning, yes, I was intimidated. But then I realized, I said, nope, you're not going to be intimidated. You're going to be intentional about improving it. And that's what I did. I went on Google University, typed in has and have and the usage. And I mean, it may sound stupid, it may sound crazy, but I'm not ashamed to admit what I don't know. So I'm not ashamed to acknowledge what I don't know. And I want to thank my support system for that. Because y'all do. Y'all speak very well. And and it has caused me to want to step into that area of, you know what, I'm gonna sound good too. When my grand opening come, I'm gonna be, and not only that, what I want to say, y'all help me. You don't judge. You don't judge me. Y'all help me. Y'all are real intentional. Like, if I ask you, like when I told you about the has and the have, you broke it down to me. You're not like, oh, Tiff, damn, But you give me some science, I can walk you through the whole body.
And I think you get it, man, so I get nervous from talking about math. I still count on my fingers, sis.
Now, math and science is my strength.
It's like, so that's your strong point. But
Yeah.
I don't feel like, oh my God. And that's why I want you to feel like none of us know it all. And that's how, like, when I talk about, like, when you show up as yourself everywhere you go, like, you don't have to worry about feeling like you have to know everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, when we used to go to our exec meetings at work and they be talking, I'm like, hold on, what that mean? Like, I'll say, what we talking about right now?
And
Like,
that's what I do. Now, if we're having, like, when we have our meetings and I don't know something, I'm going to write it down and I'm going to ask. At first, I used to be ashamed to ask because people really do make you feel like that you should know something. No, this is your career. Do you know this? It comes second nature. Like, for me, I can plan a funeral like 1, 2, 3.
And you think about it, when people get frustrated because you ask them to explain themselves, just let them sit in that and see if they can explain it. Sometimes people get so caught up in talking, and sound like they know what they're talking about because nobody, like you said, people get intimidated and they're not used to people stopping them and asking them to explain something that otherwise they feel like they know. So sometimes when you ask somebody, can you explain what that means? That then makes them say, oh shit, I don't know how to explain it. So now they mad because you done made them feel like, dang, I'm supposed to be the expert and I don't know. I'm gonna ask every time. What that mean?
As a matter of fact, that happened on one of the posts on our reel, on our short. And I asked the person to elaborate. And then
I shouldn't have to elaborate. Well, damn it, do you?
Exactly. Help me to
right.
understand.
Are you saying things because you want to make a difference in the way that we are thinking about this, or are you just trying to be an asshole? Because if you really want to be helpful, now that I'm asking you, I'm creating a space for you to elaborate on your opinion that you so graciously offer.
I'm not consider it to be stupid or dumb.
Right. So now, like, what's up with it?
Right.
I ask 1,000 questions.
I know I will. And I tell people, to you guys, do not be ashamed to acknowledge what you do not know. Like, I will say another thing, the defrost on the car. Let me tell y'all something. Be in the car with a football player coming from practice. He stink. He's hot. He's sweating. The window's fogging up. The window's fog. The windshield's fogging up. You have the window crack. You pressing the button like, y'all, help me out. I need help on this one for real.
Yep.
Help.
I done asked my daddy that before. You know, he got his truck, truck driver. How you do? I don't know. You don't know.
I called my mama and asked her.
I Googled it. Google can't tell you no straight answer. Everybody confused.
She said, you should know. It's working for me. I said, well, it's not working for me, sis. Help me out.
The right combination of buttons. That's why it's working for you.
And then I had the air on one night. It was so cold. I said, we're going to have to be like Scooby-Doo. And what's the one with the van?
What?
Scooby-Doo, the character on Scooby-Doo. The one that drive the van.
The guy with the short haircut.
Yes. You know how they be hanging out the van on
What's his name?
Scooby-Doo? What is it?
Mommy don't know who Scooby-Doo
I don't know, y'all. I can look it up. I can look it up real quick.
But I'm telling you, we was hanging out the van one day coming down 288 because I could not.
There's more than one way to skin a cat. They say you got down that road. Somebody probably thought you were getting some fresh air.
Well, we were. Fresh air, fresh view, fresh everything.
We got to wrap it up. So, I think it's been a really good conversation. And I like the times that we come in, like just saying, let's let it flow, because we let it flow. Where would you place your hyphen in today's conversation?
Let me say, I'm going to go back to my quote. We, as women, have to straighten each other's crown in order for men to respect our crown. And can I elaborate on that real quick? Mm-hmm. Another thing, I was having a conversation with a few females. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you remember, but you were in one of those conversations, and it dawned on me. I had to put myself, because I don't like to give people advice unless I have experienced it. And the one thing that I do not like is when a woman is cheated on. I only can speak from a woman's perspective, but when a woman is cheated on, she's ready to be mad at the other woman. I've been there, and I'm holding myself accountable. Y'all, you can't hold the other woman accountable, because that man, he owes you the loyalty. So don't fight that woman. She only believes what he's telling her. So let's straighten up each other's crown.
That's true.
So that's where I'm placing my hyphen.
I agree.
And not only that, get you some friends, get your support system that's going to straighten your crown and help you, like with the hashtags, with the boundaries that I've experienced. Get people that is going to help you and not criticize you.
I agree.
Where would you place your hyphen?
I would say holding myself accountable in terms of when I observe something. I think when we have relationships, whether it be intimate relationships, friendships, whatever, we are put in a space that we are now held accountable for aiding in that person's growth and vice versa. So, like, I'm going to commit to doing a better job of, like, when something comes up for me, I don't like to address stuff right off, because I like to sit with it and say, all right, and, like, self-reflect, hold myself accountable in certain places, but being more open to, like, saying, hey, this is something I've observed, and as your friend, like, I feel like I am the person that is like, I have a certain responsibility to at least bring it to your attention. You may see it differently and not want to move on it or whatever, but like, at least if we're in a different situation and something unfold with it, I can then say, well, I mean, I brought it up. I told her about it. That's not how she chooses to move. And so I'm committed to continuing to that. Let's say it that way. And I pray that anybody that, is in my close circle does the same for me, because I want to get better and be held accountable every single day. Because as we continue to elevate, like, we have to be held accountable differently.
And that's good that you're willing to. And now, are you open to them responding back to you? Okay.
Yep.
And see, that's what that dialogue,
and sometimes you just gotta agree to disagree, but at least then we have an understanding.
Right. I agree.
So.
I do. So
another good episode.
We thank y'all.
Thank y'all so much for your support.
So where do you all fit this conversation in your hyphen? We love you guys.